President Cyril Ramaphosa survived a parliamentary vote that could have paved the way for proceedings to remove him from office. Most ANC MPs voted against the adoption of the Section 89 report on the 2020 theft at his farm in Limpopo. Well, some opposition parties, including the EFF and ATM, have so far indicated they intend to go to court to challenge proceedings yesterday. Let's talk about this now with political analyst Ebrahim Harvey. Mr. Harvey, a very good afternoon to you. Welcome back to Daytime Update. You and I had a conversation about this very issue a week ago ahead of the vote yesterday. It's now happened. Did you expect it to unfold in the way that it did?
Hi, thanks for having me, and good afternoon to your viewers. No, I absolutely expected it. I would have been shocked if it didn't happen. Once again, the ANC has disgracefully allowed their numerical superiority in Parliament to bludgeon their way through the opposition and to silence them on. You have to ask yourself, if they were confident and comfortable with what Ramaphosa has had to say thus far about what happened on Phala Phala, his farm, why did they oppose this? Why did they not let the process run? Because if it had ran and faced with the opposition and their arguments, there was the platform for both Ramaphosa and the ANC to debate thoroughly these issues. Instead, they subverted a parliamentary process. They broke it, they ruptured it, because remember the panel's report. This is where the legal experts so-called have said, and I believe the ANC relied on what number of experts have said, that the report was flawed. But come on, the report is very consistent, that it's provisional, that it's not saying that Ramaphosa is guilty, but that it's finding sufficient evidence or prima facie evidence for him to have a case to answer. That is all they did. What you should do, I think it's important, is to invite onto this platform these so-called legal experts and have a debate about it, because I think it influenced the ANC stance in Parliament yesterday, and very regretful. The biggest thing that has suffered here is our constitutional democracy. They rallied behind Ramaphosa as they did with Zuma before, Nkandla, and now with this. And I must emphasize, the report does not say, that is why I suspect the Constitutional Court might very probably uphold the report of the panel, because consistently they say it's not an indictment of guilt on the part of Ramaphosa. It is just saying that based on the available information, there is a case to be answered. Why did the ANC stop that process from running its course? Remember, it's a parliamentary instituted process. It's not an external process. It's not a constitutional court. They stopped this because they did not have faith in Ramaphosa fielding and themselves fielding these questions from the opposition. Very tough, rigorous questions you would have got from Malema and the DA. They were not prepared for it. Because if they were prepared for it, why did they do what they did? Was to, well, it's not a big majority. If you look at 2014, you can see what has happened there. But it's a disgraceful, really thing that has happened there. I think it's a slap in the face of our constitutional democracy. The MPs, when they are sworn in, they take an oath of office to be members of Parliament of South Africa first and foremost. Secondarily, as belonging to the ANC. I think these people forget that when they have to, therefore you have the saying about voting with your conscience and not obeying party political loyalty.
Just on that, Gweda Mandasha in the post-interview after the vote yesterday, in fact you were speaking to Aaron Bates, and I'm paraphrasing here, said something to the effect of ANC members in the caucus basically have to toe the party line because they're not there representing a constituency, but they're there on a party ticket, and therefore it's only fitting that they do as the party has decided.
No, but what Greg is doing, it's very unfortunate, because he ought to know the Constitution. The Constitution has supremacy. As it enjoys, the Constitution enjoys supremacy not only in relation to many things, in relation to the ANC itself. This is what Montage forgot. This loyalty to the ANC is superseded by loyalty to the Constitution, and at the heart of which stands what? To hold the executive to account. That is what the parliamentary process was all about. The ANC ruptured and shattered that process, prevented the appointment of, say, an impeachment committee because it wasn't done and dusted. You would still have a chance in the impeachment committee to bring about your arguments and to debate the matters, but the ANC was not prepared. They knew that the defenses of Ramaphosa was vulnerable to attack on many fronts, and that is why they chose this level of least resistance. This is what the MPs did, and they fell in line with the ANC's rationale that they were members of parliament of the ANC. But ultimately, constitutionally, and when they take the oath of office, it says members of parliament of South Africa, not of the ANC. And the ANC has allowed its dominance to define what had happened in parliament yesterday. And unfortunately, most of the MPs voted against the adoption of the report. Why they did so when they knew full and well that they would have ample opportunity and platform to debate and advance their arguments if an impeachment committee, which the panel recommended on the basis of the information they had at their disposal.
With that in mind, does it make a stronger case, you think, as some have been suggesting, what happened yesterday and the voting in party blocks? Does it strengthen the argument that we actually need electoral reform that goes to a point where we're able to independently elect people to seats in parliament and as voters then in ourselves hold each person accountable as and when it's fitting?
Absolutely nothing prior to this of yesterday has vindicated the absolute necessity for fundamental electoral reform. Because once that is done, and you can see now why the biggest obstacle to fundamental electoral reform has been the ruling party. Because they know, let me tell you, it's a foregone conclusion. If you look at the electoral outcomes since 2009, increasing decline, the ANC would no doubt lose a national general election if you had that reform electoral system in place. But it is scandalous, honestly. What the ANC did, they bludgeoned their way through, repeatedly it's been stated, and your viewers have to listen to this. That is a provisional report. What are the legal experts saying? They say repeatedly it's provisional. It's not saying that Ramaphosa is guilty of anything at all. The parliamentary process should have picked up from that report, let this thing run, so that when we know at the end of the day, they find that there isn't a case to be answered, then it was democratically done through the processes of parliament, which is where this thing began.
We're running out of time, but I want to ask you two questions at once. A, did the ANC MPs, including Dr. Nkosazana Dlamini-Zuma and Supra Mahumapelo yesterday, who voted for the adoption of the report, were they the heroes of the day? And B, do you think the ANC, which is clearly not happy with that decision, will now have the quote-unquote proverbial balls to sanction them?
No, already if you listen to Montage very carefully yesterday, he's indicated that there's going to be some punishment or sanction that will befall these. No, they're the heroes in a sense, because, what they've done, the other MPs, the majority of them refuse to, they're more concerned with their careers and lots of things, jobs, etc., The executive presidency of this country wields a lot of power. You must remember that, intimidatory power. And in fact, they are heroes. They are heroes. Unfortunately, only 5-6 of them voted against the adoption of the but they've taken a principled stand, and for that purpose, I think they should be saluted.
What say you then to those who say they've taken the principled stance for the wrong reasons, i.e., it's a stand that they only took because of their opposition to Ramaphosa even before the Phala Phala matter blew up completely? In the case of NDZ, she had her sights set on the presidency herself. Supra Mahumapelo has never been a fan of his presidency to begin with.
No, that's a superficial argument. Because, even prior to this Phala Phala scandal, which has been really the biggest indictment of Ramaphosa, there were a lot of factionalist battles in the ANC, but what the ANC has come to realize, and Ramaphosa himself cannot deny it, let me tell you, in the final analysis, Nkandla and the scandal around it pales in comparison to what happened on Phala Phala palm of Ramaphosa. Because you remember, yes, and one has to take that into account. I salute those few ANC MPs who took that principled stance, although they were outvoted by the majority.
Ebrahim Harvey, always good to speak to you, sir. Thank you for your time.